It is 7:32. I suppose I could look to see who else had signed up. That would make sense. But, how's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah.
Pretty swell. So if, once again, if you could just put the name of your camp and your province in your, just like Janice has. So Janice Noble, Camp Kidston, Nova Scotia. We track all of this, and this is really important for our grant and our actual trackables. That'd be great. OMI data tracking. So, what do people want to talk about tonight? Check in with each other, see where we go?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go coast to coast. Lori, what camp are you with?
With Camp Widgesigum.
Camp Widgesigum. Perfect. So let's start at Kidston and then go to Widgesigum.
I'm not sure what we have for an update. We've our fall has sort of been like kind of getting back into things, but kind of still impacted by COVID. So we had a few school groups on site, but like nowhere near a normal number, and a few weekend rentals, but again, nowhere near a normal number, just because a lot of groups still have pretty strict COVID restrictions. So we've been staying busy and are sort of slowly getting back to where we want to be, but it is very slow. So that's sort of where we're at. I think next is New Brunswick. So Lori.
Hi, I'm just trying to get this done. We had a really good summer. We were very busy. It was fortunate for us to be able to do that with different activities that we did. We had good staff this year. We had quite a few grants, which were helpful for us. The other thing that we've had, we had a fundraiser in September, which was really good for us. And then we're having a spectacular Halloween activity, hopefully on Saturday. And then we're pretty well shut down for the summer, and we'll be planning the future of next year. Hopefully with more, by the looks of things, more people and more camps. So that's a good start for us. A really important one. We're getting back into the swing of things.
Excellent. I think that Steph would go next as far as coming across we're just doing updates, Toes, of where we're at, what we're doing.
Gotcha. Thanks. My name is Steph. I'm with Rainbow Camp and in Ontario. What we're doing these days, update. We did online camp all summer, super successful, went great. And we are going to do in-person camp in summer 22. And so right now a lot of our camp parents have been asking about like keeping like some online activities for their kids throughout the years, but we've shifted gears and we're planning for like in-person now. So kind of striking that balance and seeing if we can hire some part-time staff year-round in addition to the 3 that we already have. And then also I just went up north for the first time all last week and did inventory, which was super fun. I actually got to feel like a camp director again because we were like counting rubber chickens and fun stuff. So first time I got to like see all that since before the pandemic. So that was really fun. Yeah. So just excited for next summer.
Next up would be, if we're doing technically, I think it would be Chemo Key.
I think so too. So we are still doing some fall programming after a good day camp summer. We've done a youth job search skills workshop that we're running 2 sessions of. We have haunted cabins. We're doing archery a couple nights a week. Or not haunted cabins, haunted trails this year. And we did a True Colors retreat with a little help from our friends at Rainbow Camp that I would say was a success. And yeah, so we're looking at doing some more off-season programming, which is sort of a venture into new things this year, because we usually at this time of year are totally off-site, but we're going to try and keep it going through the winter a bit. And we are in the process of hiring a full-time year-round camp director role, which is new for us too, and that's made available through some funding. So that will help us sort of with our experimentation throughout the year of off-season programming. So it's an exciting time.
Awesome. At Pierce Williams, we are still not taking groups. We have done zero programming this fall because guidelines are unclear as to what we're allowed. We've had rental groups wanting to come back, but in working through sleeping arrangements, people still aren't allowed to sleep 2 meters close to each other, less than 2 meters close to each other. But we also have funding to hire a full-time person back, and there's potential that we're going to hire a part-time or full-time fundraiser as well, which was something we had started talking about before the pandemic, and then the pandemic put some things on hold, but also showed us that we can raise much more money than we ever thought we could. And so that's a big step. And at the same time here in Ontario, I think tomorrow there is there's new legislation coming into effect for nonprofit corporations. And so my board at this time is working through a total redo of bylaws and things. And we have some seniors on site stuff that we're doing, spending that money. And I'm working with an engineer to spend some accessibility capital. So we're trying to improve things and make sure things are somewhat ready for Think Camp when that arrives in November, so that people can actually sleep in bunks that are yet to be together. So that is what we are. And open buildings that haven't been used and get the stifling or that smell of unused building out of them would be the goal. So that is where we're at. Kennesary.
Things have been pretty quiet at Kennesary. We had a few family weekends in the summer. We had a Halloween themed family weekend last weekend and next weekend, where we rent cabins out, or pairs of cabins in our case, to a family unit, and they essentially just kind of camp like they're in a cabin, and we give them a little scavenger hunt and then treats at the end, and they decorate pumpkins in their cabin. So we've been doing that. We had a couple of groups out in the fall. One's really small, like 12-person overnight group. And so spacing wasn't an issue because they just stayed in a cabin with whoever they came with. They were doing it was a floating therapy business from Chatham who arranged it. And they did like Wim Hof cold water immersion techniques. And so they were jumping in feed troughs full of ice water. One settling into anyways. So we're hopeful still to do some property work this fall where we replace our pool liner. It's been on order for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and he thought it'd be 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll see, because you got to send off the dimensions, and then they use AutoCAD to design it and then make it. So hopefully that still happens. I checked in with them last week as well. If we get it in the next 2 weeks, we can still do it. So hopefully we can. And then we're just starting to talk about next year. We're going to close things up in a couple of weeks and get ready for next year.
Put me next. Okay. Well, here at Lambton Center, we're still have our seasonal campground open until the end of the month. We've had a couple of rental groups in, not nearly as many as we would normally have had before. We have actually have a guide group coming in for a day activity on this coming Saturday, and another rental in October, or later in November. This year's our 60th anniversary, so we're having a celebration event on the 13th of November, but we're also doing a sort of strategic planning day with our board and different people coming up in early November. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. and to get some planning and some direction, hopefully moving forward on that. We're be starting to plan camps and stuff like that for next year. And yeah, so it's been still pretty busy. Today I had 37 sheep showed up in our yard around the Gagaball pit. So that was kind of an interesting afternoon or late morning when they came across from our neighbors. I think they need some fence work to be done. But yeah, so it's been going, been busy. Looking forward to holidays coming up in late November. And we'll see where we go from there.
I believe next for updates would be Sherry, if we're going across the country. Yes.
Cool.
All the way to
Big
Alberta.
leap.
Yes.
Big leap. Can you hear me okay? You can hear me? Okay. Sometimes I sound like a chipmunk. Maybe it's my love of camp that causes my microphone to do that. So yeah, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late and that I missed some of your updates. It's so nice to see camp people. I'm on the board, so I chair the board of Kasota East Camp. So I come with that hat with great curiosity for how governance is managing this time across the country with our different camps. So I don't know how many others hold a board member hat versus there's another. Cool, that's helpful to know. Yeah, we had no summer programming. We've had theft and vandalism and just heartbreaking disappointment of human beings. So that's grown as an issue both for Kasota East Camp and West Kasota Camp. We share similar geographics, right? We're right neighbors right beside each other, and we're on Sylvan Lake, which is a very popular lake in Alberta, and with the pandemic has even more people swamping to it. And unfortunately, easy access to our beach area, public access to our beach area then means lots of people looking for somewhere to go to the bathroom. And we've had lots of trespassing and huge concerns. So yeah, there's the disappointment of all that, but then our other main summer project was to build an outdoor pavilion. So no kids at camp to have to worry about big equipment. They came in, they built it, we fundraised, we still are fundraising. It hasn't been really a great response to the fundraising. We were a bit brave to even launch and do it, but we just felt we had to do something that it gets us ready for an even better camp when we are able to. So it's been ups and downs of energy, I must say, from the board, but generally, you know, I think some of it was that over the summer, people were just disconnected from things. They just turned stuff off. They weren't necessarily even reading newsletters or reading announcements or listening to that kind of stuff. So I hope through the winter, as we all cocoon a little more, and that we might be able to host some ways of gathering that further enhances people's awareness of just what we've done and excitement for what we've done. So if you ever go to our Facebook page, we just put up a great picture of some of the great updates that we did this summer, site property stuff, and it looks really good. And the very first comment was, "Oh, seeing those pictures brings back such good memories," and that's who we're wanting to connect with, right, and reconnect with. So some successes and some challenges for sure.
That's great. I think we're to Coolery next.
Yeah. Sherry, something you missed was that Steph got to do inventory and she was counting rubber chickens. That just made my heart sing. I love being around people whose inventory job is counting rubber chickens. Yeah, Camp Coolery, we did run in-person camps this summer. We were a little bit restricted. Our dining facility only allowed for half capacity. We don't usually run at full capacity anyway, so but we did have to turn campers away that we wouldn't if it weren't for the pandemic restrictions. because we could only seat 30 people in our dining room. But we were able to run, and that was amazing. And we also, those of you who were here when I showed the picture last January of our wash house flattened by a tree, we had ongoing construction all summer on that. It was a little chaotic. We didn't have access to our some of our fields that had to be cordoned off for safety reasons. We had very strange portable washrooms that we had to buy because you couldn't rent any, because everybody under the sun is having to rent portable washrooms right now because you can't fit as many people in a washroom at a construction site, yada, da, da, da. So it was just as well that we were a little down in numbers because I don't think our portable washrooms would have supported much more than we had. We don't usually have fall user groups. This is something that we're working on. The three things that prohibit us from doing that, we're boat access only, and in the fall, the water levels drop quite low in our lake, and so we need to renovate our dock in order to get a little further out, a little deeper water, so we could actually get boats in reliably, so we could start having school groups and stuff in. So that's been a goal for a while, and we were actually given some money by the Pacific Mountain Regional Council to do that, which just about a month ago. So we were blown away because I'm not even, we had a visitor from the Pacific Mountain region this summer. I'm not sure that we had even had anyone from conference in this century come out. So to see that support and interest once again in the camps is really heartening. And then the other thing is our intake for our water. We have a water treatment facility out of our creek. The creek tends to dry up as well in the fall, and we just last week were able to change that configuration and extend it and move it up higher on the mountain to a deeper spot, so we now have reliable water. And the last thing is that we finished this wash house, and our dining hall probably will be a little chilly for the fall, so we need to do a little renovation on that before we can start welcoming school groups. But that's the goal, and to get us a little more financially stable. We don't have any year-round staff, so hence board member here. And I think that's a good enough update for us.
Excellent. One of the people from Mackenzie is, or both, you can tag team this.
All right, Lorraine looks like she's talking, but she's muted. So I'll just do a quick update since our last meeting. So we had, I guess, just one fall rental, a ladies quilting retreat, and they had a grand time, and we're so excited to be back after missing a couple of years. So that's it. And camp is tucked away and the boat's out of the water now, so we can't get over there except I canoe over to check. We've got our schedule ready for next year and our brochures ready that we hope we're going live again. So that's about it from us. Unless Lorraine wants to add more.
You need to unmute yourself, Lorraine.
We've had great community support despite the difficulties this year. We had a golf tournament that was good. And we had a fundraising, we usually is a dinner theater, but it was just theater this year. So that's good, and really looking forward to next year and working towards that. the big thing that I'm working on now, I'm treasurer, is what insurance is going to cost us next year.
Insurance is a huge, huge issue. That, like, the disappointment we've had, even just them responding. I don't know about others, and if you have similar insurers to us, we follow the tradition of the United Church at our camp, and yeah. Anyway, that's maybe a topic for another day. Note that, Joe.
That's great. It is on a list. Let's move into some OMI updates, just so that we're all on a page somewhere. Whether you're on the same page is a wholly other thing. We'll talk a bit more about ThinkCamp in a little after I do some of these updates, but that is November 24th through 28th. You can still, so we as OMI are sponsoring one person from every camp with a free registration, but travel you need to get to Ontario and to the Pierce Williams area. If you get to the London airport, we will work out how to get you to camp from there. It's only 45 minutes. We'll talk a bit more about ThinkCamp. November 8th is our next phone call, and that call is booked for Fundraising 101. And you can invite as many board members and camp staff as you would like to that call. We have a guest from the Better Fundraising Company coming to do a deep dive into Fundraising 101 in the process and the cycle and the ask. And if you're unaware, I am also hosting a Fundraising at Camp podcast through the Go Camp Pro Network, and it's called Fundraising the @Camp. And you can find it anywhere you get your podcasts. On October 5th, feel free to ask any questions. I can't see anybody's face because you're behind my notepad right now. On October 15th, I submitted, so last Friday, I submitted our report for our grant that allows the OMI to exist. And so we are now entering, as of January, we'll enter year 2 of our 3-year grant cycle with for the new Ministries grant from the EDGE and the United Church Foundation. And we do want to make sure that we recognize that funding that allows OMI to exist comes from the United Church of Canada Foundation. And then I was writing, as people were talking, I was writing down some ideas that go along with insurance, and we can talk about those in a second. I wanted to cover 2 things before I forget. 3 things, 4 things. I have a whole list. We are, as OMI, one of the prerequisites of being a new ministry is that you have to have at least 3 coordinators as part of your team that helps run. And so Matt Wynot moved on from camping and left the OMI as a coordinator. And so our current coordinators, just so everybody's aware, so Janice Noble, she can wave. She is our coordinator, and she's in Nova Scotia. Then you have myself here at Pierce Williams in Ontario. We have Vicki Nelson in Regina, and Claire Frederick joined us from Camp Pringle. So our coordinators for the OMI are literally across Canada. And as coordinators, we had a meeting last Friday and had some really great discussions. And that is, so those, I'll make sure all of those emails are up on the website. So if you want to reach out to someone, you can. Vicki and I have been sitting on a small task group that the National Church put together for the accreditation process for camps. And this may be of interest it should be of interest to all of our camps. There is the potential that the accreditation process is going to look drastically different. And there's also the potential that the regions will be taking over the actual visits for accreditation as opposed to it being a national. The regions recognize I don't think they're called executive secretaries anymore, as the top people at each region have met recently. what they've gone over is they've heard from many camps and many incorporated ministries that with the decline or removal of presbyteries, a lot of camps are feeling even more disconnected from the United Church of Canada and from anybody who can, who they've chatted with in the past. And so they're hoping that the regions can, by taking on the accreditation process, can have a better, the camps can have more of a relationship with them. The accreditation itself, the standards, we're working through which standards the United Church has and which standards our provincial organizations have. And so we're trying to pare it down so that it's not so arduous to do the UCC standards as long as you're provincially accredited. But every provincial association has different standards. So it is a bit of a challenge. And Bevo did an amazing job going through all of the standards of every provincial camping association in Canada and trying to match out which are which. A couple of topics that I just thought of as we were talking. So thank you for the insurance question. Quick question. Who here has a broker? Who here deals with an insurance broker who then deals with your insurance company? Okay. There is a huge value in having a broker in the sense that you don't need to, you can always ride your broker to get in touch with your insurance company. And the insurance company is more likely to get back to them because the broker is who sends them business. But it was just an interesting question for insurance. We've here at Pierce Williams, when I arrived, we had a broker. We've changed them once, but is our big, just so I'm making a list of what the topic would be, is the topic on insurance. Cost is one of them. What's another, anything else with insurance? The costs just keep going up. I don't fully understand.
Well, one of my interests in topics is there any opportunity for kind of advocacy and influence to the insurance industry regarding our accreditation processes? That we go through a lot of very careful risk management, so both at the national church level and at provincial accreditation levels, where inspections and policies and procedures and all of that work feels for nothing when it comes to the cost of insurance. It's obviously not for nothing because it provides the safety and security and good programming and all that sort of thing. But should that accreditation not give some kind of acknowledgement of very intentional risk management on the part of these camps that could reduce the costs? I just worry they don't have a full understanding of the breadth and depth and levels of policies and procedures that are in place for most of our camps. And this is to us as OMI, but also to provincial camping associations and national camping. And, I think the whole industry could benefit from insurance, better understanding that accreditation that is so important.
Yes, I think that I think on that note that the Canadian Camping Association plan, so we're all, if you're a member of your provincial organization, your camp is a member of the Canadian Camping Association, and you have access to the Canadian Camping Association insurance plan, and that would be the most direct knowledge, people with knowledge about camping and what camping is, advocating with an insurance company. But I agree. I am not with the United Church nor with the CCA. We are with Ecclesiastical's insurance because it was what my broker brought me. Robin, were you going to talk?
I was just going to say, God help you if you have a claim like a tree falling on your washroom. We still don't have that sorted out. And that was in January. We're fortunate the region is footing the bill while we wait for the insurance company.
Excellent point. you never know how great or how challenging your insurance company is until you make a claim. So that'll be one of the things. So insurance, I also wrote down with what's going on at Facebook and Instagram and things, I wonder about social media and the future of advertising and putting all of our eggs in one basket. If you're in, you might think you have Instagram and Facebook, but that's the same basket, people. That's the same company. And so that's, I don't know, is there, with a thumbs up or a thumbs sideways or down, is that an interesting topic that we can find someone? Yeah. And then staffing challenges for 2022 is also something that was brought up. The idea that how are we, I don't know what the plan is to find staff, not only for next year, but to also prepare us for future years so that we build that back up.
We'd like to know a little more about Canada's summer jobs grants, because I don't think, like, we've gotten one, and I don't think we're like knowing how to approach that correctly. So I'd like to hear from some of the camps that have successfully gotten multiple positions funded through that. I'd love to hear like how you approach that. Okay.
That sounds great. While we're on this, are there any other topics that we should be looking for speakers, or we can self facilitate for our calls?
It's Lorraine here. I just wanted to say we've been getting funding through the government for quite a while, but we also, even this year, with having such a limited amount of day camps, we got an Aboriginal grant because we employed 2 Aboriginal students. So maybe I'm reasonably good at applying for grants. I don't know. So that really helps financially.
I want to hear your wisdom. Let's have that whole discussion around camp staffing and funding staff and finding staff. Yeah. We had to import our lifeguard from Ontario.
Yeah. Diversity and inclusion related to staffing and hiring. Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other topics?
I second that grant writing one.
So grant writing specifically for staffing?
All of the above, just like a general, like how to get really good grants.
Joe, Carla Leon from The Edge might be someone to engage in that conversation. She's great.
Yeah, and Carla spoke recently. So April 12th, we had there should be a video up of financial sustainability with Carla.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
That's on the spreadsheet. That's the only reason I could bring it up that quickly. The magical spreadsheet that Vicky has managed for the longest time. Okay. Grant writing, staffing, and general. Here's just a quick note on grant writing. Grants are not where most of your money. Grants are long-term, meaning that you have to wait. You have to wait and wait for grants to come. I put in a $170,000 grant on September 29th. Is that when the sports and rec grant was due? For pool upgrades, I won't find out till December, and then I won't be able to do any work until after next summer. And so it's all about timing with some grants. Yeah, with staffing.
In other cases, grants are like all of a sudden there's a call for proposals and be ready, and they make the decisions quickly. So it can really vary, and part of it is just keeping it on the radar.
Yeah, I've been using this analogy that right now with COVID, I find especially in Ontario, there's just money in the ether if you're looking for it. And it's just going and grabbing it and also figuring out what not to chase. And that's a whole session unto itself. Do I chase $1,000 community foundation grant that has more paperwork than it takes to do a $170,000 pool grant? Maybe they like us. Any other topics?
Maybe could site security, like how do people, what's the business models that people have across the country around someone on site or not? And when someone's not on site, and how often do you check your site, or what do you implement or have best practices to help with monitoring public? Like it varies so much by site to site, but some kind of a conversation around site security would be, I think, a helpful one for me.
Dan, do you have expertise in that?
3 break-ins in 5 weeks, one
Wow.
fall. Yeah. And all I did was put up 2 Nest cams. So after the first break-in, I'd had Nest cams because we were having a little bit of trouble, and then we didn't, and times were tight, so we wanted to save the $670 of internet over the winter. So we shut the internet off, and then next weekend, $12,000 to $15,000 worth of stuff gone. And so hooked them back up, and 2 weeks later, 9 cop cars later, K9 unit later, 2 guys arrested, charged because I caught them in the act. And the cops, and then 2 weeks later, another guy walked up, kicked in the back door of the office, took 1 speaker stand and our 6-foot pop-up. This is what Kennesair is all about, display. Didn't catch him, but yeah, it's and then no
maybe
trouble
that's too
since.
depressing. Maybe that's too depressing of a topic.
Well, the only thing I found that does any good is we pay for Nest cams and leave our internet on, and I can hopefully catch them in the act.
And you're on site?
No, I'm 35 minutes away, but I'm not that far. But we have a board member who lives 10 minutes away. But if I see something going down like that, I just call 911, and they're pretty responsive for us. So.
Yeah, I think there's a discussion there, and I think that some of these topics we can put together like 15-minute talks and group them together. So if you have other topics that you think of, you can certainly email them to us, and we'll put them on the list.
Joe, can I just request, you went really fast with your updates at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the whole November 24th to 28th was brand new information to me, and I just went to the website to see if I could
I'm
find
talk about it
anything,
right
and
now.
there's nothing. Okay, good.
I'm going to talk about it right now. So you want to go to thinkcamp.ca, which has been in all of the emails that have come out, and we have not updated our website with it. I can do that tonight. So November 24th to 28th, which starts on a Wednesday night and goes to a Sunday afternoon. If you can't make the entire time, that's fine. We can work with you. But it is a gathering here at Pierce Williams. Some notes for you is it is an unconference, meaning that when you come, you're going to contribute. What we ask is that you bring something you're passionate about and be ready to sort of talk about it for 10 minutes, and then we can ask questions. And if it's valuable for camp, that's even better. You're also going to be asked to bring 5 to 10 topics or questions that you have for other camping professionals that we can talk about as a group. So that's sort of how it is set up. There are currently no keynote speakers because at an unconference, it's us that contribute. It's also a quiet time away from your hectic life somewhere else. To walk our trails, to walk the labyrinth. We, at this moment in time, don't have any, we have lots more time than I normally have with Think Camp. Normally, Think Camp runs a Tuesday afternoon to a Thursday at noon, so it's a one day, it's quite fast. We have not talked about trips off-site. With COVID, we didn't think that was the best thing to plan ahead, but Kennesary and Chemo Key are both within half an hour, and so I'm sure that we could break into both of those camps and visit them. And if
I'll
we
catch
really
you on the Nest Cam though.
and if we really wanted to,
You
we
don't
could
have to
drive.
break in. You can
We
just
could dri-
walk in.
We could drive up to Lambton Center. Rick's not going to be there, but we could drive up to Lambton Center and take it off. Think Camp it has been running since 2007, so it is not an Outdoor Ministries Institute dedicated learning opportunity. It is a camping learning opportunity, and I have not announced it to the camp community, but I will do that shortly. I've announced it to us numerous times over email, what I think was numerous times over email. Some people don't read the emails. I get it. That's fine. But we are willing to sponsor. OMI is going to sponsor your conference registration, and you just need to get to camp. The only additional charge for you would be if you are dead set on a private room, and that's $100 extra. We can guarantee you that you can sleep 2 meters apart, and you would only share a room with one other person maximum. And there is a chance that everybody will be in a private room, depending on numbers. But know that if you want to guarantee a private room and you paid for it, you do not get that money back. It's a betting game. You need to play the game and go from there. But we are planning to meet. People are welcome to arrive anytime on the Wednesday. And we'll have packages and things ready, and then leave. The goal would be to leave anytime. Lunch will be served on Sunday, and then you can leave. But if planes and flights and transportation, so if you're getting to the Toronto airport, the Robert Q Airbus is the only thing that can take you there that is not us, because I'm not driving 2 hours to the 2.5 hours to the Toronto airport and back. It's for a 5-hour round trip. But we will have other people coming from the Toronto area who can potentially carpool. And if you get to the London airport, OMI will arrange pickup at the London airport. Questions, Sherry? Or
I was just
anyone?
going to say what's the nearest airport, but you said London Airport, and you will do transport from there.
Correct. London is about 45 minutes away. And so it's a nice, the London airport's about 45 minutes away. London itself, I can get to in 20 minutes if I really want to.
I can help chauffeur from London Airport.
This will be the first time for us to meet in community in a long time because COVID happened, and it's still happening. And so we will have rapid tests on site. So we do ask that you're double vaxxed if you attend, and you will upload proof of that to the Camp Brain file. And we will have rapid antigen tests to do on arrival, that 15-minute test, and hopefully we'll have enough to do some on departure so that you're safe to go. And that's through the Chamber of Commerce program. I've spoken to them already. But if we want to do some trips and you want to, Kennesary's easy to get to and Chemo Key is easy to get to. We would normally at Think Camp go out to dinner on the first night, but we just don't feel that's the safe thing to do at this moment in time. My summer camp cook is cooking for the week from the 24th to the 28th. So there'll be food options for you. But if you have too many challenges in your life with food, you will need to bring some supplemental food things. But we will ask that on the health form as well. And if you can't attend, I would encourage you to find someone from your camp who potentially could. And so here's the info for camp people for United Church people that's not on the We Are or on the Think Camp website, is that if you use the code We Are Camp all together, you can get your registration paid for. Please only use one per camp. because I will sort them out at some point closer to, and might send you a bill if you use to. I know a bunch of people here are already signed up, by a bunch, I think like 4 or 5 of us. So that is a start. And we'll go from there. Okay. Did that answer all the questions about Think Camp, Sherry?
Yes,
Yeah?
thank you.
Not a problem. One of the talks with the outdoor ministry, with the coordinators, was the idea of that 2022 would actually be our 3-year triannual event date, because in 2019 we used those funds to sponsor people to go to the North Carolina, the Great Gathering. I emailed the national office and was told that they've now moved Youth Forum to 2022, Youth Forum at General Council, because I think they moved General Council. I don't know any of these things because I don't pay attention to them, but there may be funds available. One of the conversations that we had as coordinators is the idea that putting on an unconference like Think Camp is well within our purview, and but organizing a conference with numerous speakers, keynotes, and an exhibit hall, simply, we do not have the numbers to do that ourselves at a reasonable cost. And so one of the things that we're looking at teaming up with the Presbyterian Church Camp and Conference Association, and using that as a meeting place for Canadians to go. As Matt Wynot has said, there are camps of every size within the PCCCA, and so there are people to talk to and meet. And Joel Winship does an amazing job of putting on that conference and exhibit hall. The dates in 2022 for PCCCA are November 13th to the 18th. Which I believe is somebody might have a calendar that open. My calendar, I realize, only goes to, oh no, maybe it does go to December. Does anybody else here use a school year calendar? Oh yeah, so every September I just get a new one that keeps extending out. The 13th to the 18th is a Sunday through a Friday. So it is, and what you get at the PCCCA are a lot of full-time camp people. Thus the reason it's during the week. Where it's located, at this moment, Joel sent me a message this afternoon saying they don't have a location picked at this moment in time. Will we feel safe traveling to the United States of America in November of 2022? Maybe, who knows? But that is the other thing. And I was on a meeting last Friday after we met as coordinators. I was on a meeting with the Outdoor Ministries Connection Council, which are the executive directors of all of the OMI-like groups. So the PCCCA and the United Church of Christ and the United Methodist and the Lutheran and the Episcopalian. All of those organizations, except for the United Church of Christ, run an annual event. All of them are in the States. Some occasionally are in Hawaii, which is really appealing. But they all of their executive directors spoke about the idea that the United Church of Canada and OMI specifically is welcome to partner year by year with them, or every few years if that's what we choose. Because if the OMI can fund it, I think that something like Think Camp can run every year. And if people can make it, people can make it. And if people can't, people can't. But to actually have a conference with keynotes and get-togethers is a wholly other challenge that in the past, Dan, you've sat on planning committees for that in the past. It can take, they used to take 3 years to plan.
Yeah, the planning process was the full length of time between the conferences normally.
So 19 to 21 hours, Robin. Sweet. Where are you flying from? Calgary?
No, Calgary's a 8-9 hour drive from here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be flying from here, from Castlegar.
Hmm.
The next nearest airport is 5 hours to Kelowna. Between 8 and 9 hours to Vancouver.
Is there any way at all, Joe, to have some gathering with people virtually at the same time and kind of weaving in? I know people hate the term hybrid, but you know, I host online stuff constantly and would certainly be willing to help accommodate that for people that just aren't able to travel to be there, but we could have our own little kind of mini side conference that somehow integrates with what you're doing on site once in a while. I don't know if people would have an appetite for that, but I certainly volunteer myself to support that.
I'm certain that we can. One of the challenges, as I'm sure many camps face, is that the internet sucks. And I have grant money sitting in a bank account, and as soon as Starlink tells me that they serve my area, and they ship me the box, I'll be all in on everything. But yes, there is. I'm sure that can be arranged and can be. I'm not sure what it looks like because I don't know. But yeah, if you live in the middle of nowhere, Robin, then it is difficult to get places. It's the same question, right? I contemplated the idea of next year in writing a grant proposal for the national office to say, well, great, let's meet in Regina. And Vicky's like, you do not want to come to Regina. All of the plane tickets are ridiculously expensive just to get there. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so
we really want to meet out on the island. We really want Claire to host us out there so we can all go to Vancouver Island where it's lovely and warm-ish at this in the fall. And it's bloody expensive too, but you know.
Well, yeah, Canada is a huge country. It's expensive to travel. This is one of the reasons when I fly anywhere into the States, I just drive to Detroit, Michigan, and then fly from there because I can. Well, not right now I can't, but most times I can. Okay, I think that's it for tonight, unless you have anything you want to bring up. Before my final reminders, anybody need to ask any questions?
I just want to comment. I've been a little bit shut down from connecting. Obviously, I didn't read your emails through the summer. At least I saw the one that said register for these again. Did you host some of these over the summer, or is this kicking off again?
No, we hosted one in September, and you can view it on YouTube.
Yeah. And just as I came on, it felt so good to see everyone, even though, you know, many new faces around the table, but it feels so good. And I'm trying my darndest to figure out what's behind you on the wall, but it looks like doorknobs.
Who, behind me?
Yeah. Are those doorknobs?
No, they're actual yo-yos.
Oh, they're yo-yos. Oh, cool.
So,
what a collection.
Yeah, and this is me. This is me with yo-yos from a drawing done at Canada's Wonderland in the late '90s with while I was with camping friends. So, yes, yoyojoe.com.
I'll look it up.
This is a whole.
Thank you.
This, as a reference, for anybody who doesn't want to know, is a old cash register drawer turned on its side, which gives me the perfect spacing to display a whole bunch of yo-yos. Brother Dan's the one who got me into it. He gave me my first yo-yo in a stocking many, many years ago. Here, I'm raising my desk so you can see it.
I have $5 left out of the $20 or $25 that we spent on each sibling. And I wandered around the store, and then I saw a $3.59 old school yellow yo-yo, I think it was. And I bought it and gave it to him. And who knew this is where it would end up?
So you're brothers?
Yes, for real. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Real. We don't fake. I wouldn't fake that. That guy's weird.
That's what I said.
So if there's no other pertinent data, I want to remind people about the November 8th call. We will have a fundraising 101. And so it will be, it might be extended. I have yet to talk with but it might be an hour and a half. But it will be recorded as well. It's with the Better Fundraising Co. out of, I believe they're in Washington, like Seattle area, and just talking about things. So I will update the website. I'm on it right now, deleting things and updating with next month's meeting and go from there. So I just want to thank you all for being part of this. It is so wonderful in my mind that we actually started all of these Zoom calls well before the pandemic. I'm not sure if you remember that. So we were well prepared to get together and chat. And I, Sherry, do also appreciate seeing people and making these connections, especially since my staffing here at Pierce has gone from 4 full-time staff to just 2 of us, and I don't see my maintenance guy that much. So we're all good.
Quick question, Joe.
Yeah.
So for Think Camp, I already registered for like the free one, but if we want to pay, we can have an additional staff, right? But I remember you saying that there's a limit. So do you want us to wait until other camps?
Nope. I would rather, so you can pay for an additional staff and just go through that process and sign them up. And then you can do that anytime because it's open now. It's open to everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. End meeting for all.